Hello everyone. Welcome back to Naruto Fix. Today we have another interesting what if Naruto story, which is what if Naruto accidentally created the strongest harem in history without even realizing it. Part 1. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Now, without wasting any time, let's begin. Several years after the Fourth Great Ninja War, peace had finally arrived. No enemies, no disasters, no battles, no hatred. Everything was peaceful, and that's exactly where the problem began. Because Naruto Uzumaki accidentally did something impossible. He created the strongest harem in shinobi history. And he had absolutely no idea. One morning, Naruto woke up, stretched, yawned, then smiled. Today's gonna be awesome. Then his stomach growled. Ramen first. Some things never changed. Naruto walked through Konoha. The village was alive. People waved. Children cheered. Shopkeepers smiled. Morning Naruto. Morning Naruto-kun. Morning Naruto-Nisan. Naruto smiled at everyone. Then suddenly, a little girl ran toward him. Naruto-Nisan. Naruto laughed. Hey. The girl handed him a flower. This is for you. Naruto smiled warmly. Thank you. Then he patted her head. Nearby, several women sighed, because somehow, even simple actions looked special when Naruto did them. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage tower, Kakashi was drowning in paperwork. Again, Shikamaru sat nearby. Then another report arrived. Title: Current Social Influence of Naruto Uzumaki. Kakashi sighed. Again. Quote. Shikamaru laughed. Again. Kakashi opened it. Trust level. Highest. Popularity. Highest. International recognition. Highest. Then another category. Most requested shinobi for missions and diplomatic events. Naruto Uzumaki. Again. Kakashi smiled. He's unbelievable. Meanwhile, Naruto entered Ichiraku. Extra large ramen. Ayame smiled. As always. As always. Then disaster arrived. Again. Sakura sat beside him. Then Hinata. Then Ino. Then Tenten. Then Tamari. Naruto blinked. Quote. Wow. Everybody really loves ramen. Ayame burst into laughter. Because Naruto remained hopeless. Meanwhile, far away, stories about him spread every day. The hero of Konoha. The child of prophecy. The savior of the shinobi world. The future Hokage. But another title had quietly appeared. The man nobody wanted to lose. Because Naruto had become irreplaceable. That afternoon, Naruto received a mission. Simple escort duty. Naruto smiled. Easy. Then he arrived at the gates. And froze. Because 5 different people volunteered. Sakura, Hinata, Ino, Tenten, Tamari. Naruto blinked. Quote. Wow. You guys must be bored. Everyone froze. Then laughed awkwardly. Naruto grinned. Cool. Then they left together. The mission itself was easy. But along the way, Naruto kept doing Naruto things. He helped children. He repaired a cart. He helped an old woman. He encouraged a young genin. Without hesitation. Without expecting anything. Hours later, the mission ended. Everyone sat beneath a tree. Naruto handed everyone water. Then smiled. Good job today. Critical damage. Again. Naruto blinked. What? Nobody answered. Because Naruto's genuine smile was dangerous. Very dangerous. That evening. Naruto climbed atop the Hokage monument. Again. His favorite place. The sunset illuminated Konoha beautifully. Then footsteps approached. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Naruto smiled. You guys really love this place. Quote. Everyone sat beside him. Naruto looked toward the village. Then smiled softly. You know. Everyone listened. Naruto scratched his cheek. I've been thinking. The wind blew gently. When I was younger. Quote. I wanted people to notice me. Then he laughed. And now, people notice me too much. Everyone burst into laughter. Naruto smiled. But honestly, I'm grateful. Then he pointed at everyone. I've got amazing people around me. Maximum emotional damage. Again. Naruto smiled. I don't know what I'd do without all of you. Nobody answered immediately. Because Naruto didn't realize something. Every single person there was thinking the same thing. What would life be like without Naruto? And honestly, nobody wanted to know the answer. Far away, Kakashi smiled, then whispered, "He's doing it again." Quote, Shikamaru laughed. Yep, accidentally. Because Naruto wasn't trying to create a harem. He wasn't trying to be charming. He wasn't trying to be handsome. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was simply being himself. And somehow, that was infinitely stronger than any jutsu in existence. Meanwhile, Naruto stood up, then stretched. "I'm hungry." Everyone burst into laughter. Again, Naruto blinked. "What?" Temari laughed. "Nothing." Naruto scratched his head. "You guys are weird." Everyone smiled. Because maybe, just maybe, Naruto Uzumaki had already begun creating the strongest harem in history. Without even realizing it, several weeks later, something unbelievable happened. Naruto accidentally created a team. Not an official team, not a ninja squad, but a group so powerful that every nation started talking about them. And Naruto had absolutely no idea. One morning, Naruto woke up, stretched, yawned, then smiled. Today's gonna be awesome. Then he opened his apartment door. Thud. 5 lunch boxes fell at his feet. Naruto blinked. Quote. Huh. Then he picked them up. One note said, "Eat properly." Another, "Don't skip breakfast." Another, "Stay safe today." Naruto smiled. Konoha people are really nice. 30 meters away. Sakura covered her face. Ino sighed. Hinata turned red. Temari shook her head. Tenten laughed. Because Naruto was impossible. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage tower, Kakashi sighed. Again, Shikamaru sat nearby. Another report arrived. Title: The most influential group around Naruto Uzumaki. Kakashi blinked. What? Shikamaru opened it. Sakura Haruno. Hinata Hyuga. Ino Yamanaka. Temari. Tenten. Kakashi sighed. He accidentally did it. Quote, Shikamaru laughed. He really did. Meanwhile, Naruto was walking through Konoha. Then he noticed a broken swing. The same swing he used to sit on when he was lonely. Naruto froze. Then smiled. Within minutes. He repaired it. Then added a second swing beside it. Then smiled. There, nearby, a little boy asked, "Why did you add another one?" Naruto smiled softly. "So nobody sits alone." Maximum emotional damage. Again, nearby, everyone froze. Because that sentence alone perfectly described Naruto. He never forgot what loneliness felt like. That afternoon, Naruto received a diplomatic mission. Visit another village. Talk. Return. Easy. Naruto smiled. Let's go. Then he froze. Because everyone volunteered again. Sakura. Hinata. Ino. Temari. Tenten. Naruto blinked. Quote. You guys must be really bored. Everyone sighed. Then laughed. Naruto grinned. Cool. The journey began. Along the road, Naruto kept being Naruto. He carried luggage. He helped strangers. He trained children. He repaired a wagon. Hours later, they arrived at a nearby town. Immediately, people recognized him. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto blinked. Quote. Again, the crowd gathered. Again, Naruto smiled. Hello. Big mistake. The crowd doubled. Naruto blinked. How does that happen? Quote. Nobody answered. Because nobody knew. That evening, everyone sat near a campfire. The stars illuminated the sky. Naruto smiled. You know. Everyone listened. Naruto scratched his cheek. I've been thinking. Quote. The wind blew gently. When I was younger, I wanted everyone to notice me. Then he laughed. Now it's kinda scary. Everyone laughed too. Naruto smiled. But honestly, I'm happy. Then he pointed at everyone. Because I have all of you. Critical damage. Again, Naruto continued. I don't think I could do life alone anymore. Maximum emotional damage. Again, because Naruto genuinely meant it. Far away. Kakashi smiled. Then whispered. Minato. He doesn't know. Shikamaru smiled. He never will. Because Naruto wasn't building the strongest harem intentionally. He wasn't trying to make anyone fall for him. He was simply being Naruto. And somehow, that was stronger than any forbidden jutsu. Meanwhile, Naruto stood up, then stretched. I'm hungry. Everyone burst into laughter. Again, Naruto blinked. What? Temari laughed. Nothing. Quote. Naruto scratched his head. You guys are weird. Everyone smiled. Because after all this time, one thing had become undeniable. Naruto Uzumaki wasn't just creating a harem. He was creating the strongest group of people the shinobi world had ever seen. And the funniest part, Naruto still thought everyone was just being friendly. A few days later, something unexpected happened. Naruto accidentally created a routine. And that routine became dangerous. Very dangerous. Because every single day, without planning it, the same people started gathering around him. Morning, breakfast, mission, training, evening at the Hokage monument. And somehow, Naruto became the center of all of it. One morning, Naruto woke up, stretched, yawned, then smiled. Today's gonna be awesome. He opened the door. Thud. More lunch boxes. Naruto blinked. Quote. Again. Then he picked them up. One note said, don't skip meals. Another, get enough sleep. Another, take care of yourself. Naruto smiled. You guys worry too much. 30 meters away, Sakura sighed. Ino sighed. Temari sighed. Hinata smiled nervously. Tenten laughed. Because Naruto was impossible. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage tower, Kakashi sighed. Again, Shikamaru sat nearby. Another report arrived. Title: Potential Future Power Balance Around Naruto Uzumaki. Shikamaru opened it, then froze. Every nation had the same concern. Naruto's influence was becoming too great. Not because of fear, because everyone trusted him. Kakashi smiled. That's not a problem. Shikamaru nodded. Yeah, that's peace. Meanwhile, Naruto was walking through Konoha. Then suddenly, he heard crying. A little girl sat near a fountain. Naruto immediately sat beside her. What's wrong? Quote. The girl looked down. My friend moved away. Naruto smiled softly. That hurts. The girl nodded. Naruto smiled. But that doesn't mean they're gone forever. She blinked. Huh. Naruto pointed at her chest. If someone is important to you, they'll always stay right here. Maximum emotional damage. Again. The little girl smiled. Really? Naruto grinned. Believe it. Then she smiled again. Nearby, several people froze. Because somehow, Naruto always knew what to say. Meanwhile, at Ichiraku, Naruto sat down. Extra large ramen. Ayame smiled. As always. As always. Then disaster arrived. Again. Sakura sat beside him. Then Hinata. Then Ino. Then Temari. Then Tenten. Naruto blinked. Quote. Wow, you guys really do love ramen. Ayame burst into laughter. Because Naruto remained completely hopeless. That afternoon, Naruto decided to train. Big mistake. Because everyone came along. Naruto blinked. Oh, you guys wanna train too? Everyone nodded. Naruto grinned. Awesome. Hours passed. Everyone laughed. Everyone sparred. Everyone smiled. Then Naruto sat beneath a tree. The wind blew gently. Naruto looked toward the sky. Then smiled. You know. Everyone listened. Naruto scratched his cheek. I've always been scared. Everyone froze. Naruto rarely admitted things like that. Then he smiled. Scared of losing people. The wind blew softly. Naruto continued. When you grow up alone, you become afraid of losing happiness. Everyone became quiet. Naruto smiled warmly. But not anymore. Quote. Then he looked toward everyone. Because I trust all of you. Critical damage. Again. Naruto continued. I know you'll all stay. Maximum emotional damage. Again. Because Naruto genuinely meant every word. Far away. Kakashi smiled. Then whispered. Minato. He really did become someone extraordinary. Shikamaru smiled too, because they both understood something. Naruto wasn't creating the strongest harem in history. He was creating the strongest bonds in history. And because those bonds were genuine, they were unbreakable. Meanwhile, Naruto stood up, then stretched. I'm hungry. Everyone burst into laughter. Again, Naruto blinked. What? Temari laughed. Nothing. Naruto scratched his head. You guys are weird. Everyone smiled. Because after all these years, one thing had become undeniable. Naruto Uzumaki wasn't becoming a legend anymore. He had already become one. And the funniest part, he still thought he was just Naruto. To be continued. The next month, something unbelievable happened. Naruto accidentally became the center of the entire shinobi world. Again. But this time, it wasn't because of war. It wasn't because of power. It wasn't because he defeated an enemy. It was because people simply wanted him around. And Naruto still didn't understand why. One morning, Naruto woke up, stretched, yawned, then smiled. Today's gonna be awesome. Then he opened his apartment door. Thud. 10 lunch boxes, 7 letters, flowers, and a scarf. Naruto blinked. Quote. Wow. Then he smiled. Konoha people are so generous. 30 meters away, Sakura sighed. Ino sighed. Temari sighed. Hinata hid her face. Tenten laughed. Because Naruto was absolutely impossible. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage Tower, Kakashi sighed. Again, Shikamaru sat nearby. Another report arrived. Title: Current Global Influence of Naruto Uzumaki. Kakashi opened it. Diplomatic influence. Highest. Popularity. Highest. Trust level. Highest. Public approval. Highest. Then another category. Most desired ally in all 5 nations. Naruto Uzumaki. Again. Kakashi laughed. This is ridiculous. Shikamaru smiled. No, it's Naruto. Meanwhile, Naruto was walking through Konoha. Then suddenly, he stopped. There was a new ramen stand owner struggling to carry supplies. Naruto immediately ran over. I got it. The man smiled. You don't have to. Naruto grinned. I know. But I want to. Critical damage. Again. Nearby, 3 women froze. Because somehow, that sentence always hit differently when Naruto said it. He never expected rewards. Never expected praise. Never expected attention. He simply cared. That afternoon, Naruto was assigned an international peace mission. Visit the Sand Village. Talk. Return. Easy. Naruto smiled. Awesome. Then he arrived at the gate. And froze. Because Sakura was there. Then Hinata. Then Ino. Then Temari. Then Tenten. Naruto blinked. Quote. Wow. You guys must really like missions. Quote. Everyone looked away. Naruto grinned. Cool. Then the journey began. Hours later, they stopped beside a river. Naruto noticed children struggling to cross. Immediately, he created shadow clones. Then built a bridge. The children smiled. Thank you, Naruto-Nisan. Naruto grinned. No problem. Then one child asked, are you really the hero who saved the world? Naruto froze. Then scratched his head. I guess. The child smiled. That's amazing. Naruto laughed. Nah. Then he pointed at everyone. No one saves the world alone. Maximum emotional damage. Again. Naruto continued. I had amazing people beside me. Quote. Everyone froze. Because Naruto genuinely meant it. Hours later, they reached the Sand Village. Immediately, people gathered. Again. Naruto. Naruto-sama. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto blinked. Quote. Again. Quote. The crowd doubled. Naruto smiled awkwardly. Hello. Big mistake. The crowd tripled. Naruto blinked. How does this happen? Nobody answered. Because nobody knew. That evening, everyone sat atop a building overlooking the village. The stars illuminated the sky. Naruto smiled softly. You know. Everyone listened. Naruto scratched his cheek. When I was little, I thought being loved was impossible. Silence. The wind blew gently. Naruto continued. I thought I'd always be alone. Then he smiled warmly. But now, I've got so many people around me. He laughed. It's weird. Then he looked toward everyone. I'm really lucky. Critical damage. Again. Because Naruto genuinely believed he was the lucky one. He had no idea. Everyone else felt exactly the same. Far away, Kakashi smiled. Then whispered, Minato. He finally has everything. Quote. Meanwhile, Naruto stood up. Then stretched. I'm hungry. Everyone burst into laughter. Again. Naruto blinked. What? Temari laughed. Nothing. Naruto scratched his head. You guys are weird. Everyone smiled. Because after all this time, one thing had become undeniable. Naruto Uzumaki wasn't creating the strongest harem in history. He was creating the strongest family in history. A family built on trust. A family built on love. A family built on memories. And because Naruto created it accidentally. It was genuine. The funniest part, Naruto still thought everyone was simply being friendly. And perhaps, that was exactly why everyone loved him. Because Naruto Uzumaki never chased hearts. He simply healed them. And that was his strongest power. The next few weeks became absolute chaos. But peaceful chaos. The kind Naruto secretly loved. Because every day, without planning it, the same people gathered around him. Morning, training, lunch, missions, sunset, then the Hokage monument. It had become a routine. And Naruto had no idea how important that routine had become. One morning, Naruto woke up, stretched, yawned, then smiled. Today's gonna be awesome. Then he opened his apartment door. Thud. Another pile of things. Lunch boxes, letters, flowers, scarves, small gifts. Naruto blinked. Quote. Again. Then he smiled. Everyone's really nice lately. Meanwhile, across Konoha, Sakura sighed, Ino sighed, Temari sighed, Hinata turned red, Tenten laughed. Because somehow, Naruto remained impossible. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage tower, Kakashi sat quietly. Shikamaru arrived. Then another report landed. Title: Naruto Uzumaki's Impact on World Peace. Kakashi smiled. Here we go again. Quote. Shikamaru opened it. Conflict reduction. Highest. Village cooperation. Highest. International trust. Highest. Then another section. Most trusted human alive. Naruto Uzumaki. Again. Shikamaru laughed. This is ridiculous. Kakashi smiled. No. This is Naruto. Meanwhile, Naruto walked through Konoha. Then suddenly, he noticed an old swing. The same swing. The swing he sat on as a child. Naruto stopped walking. Then smiled softly. He walked over. Then sat down. The memories returned. Loneliness. Silence. Pain. Naruto quietly smiled. Things really changed. Then he heard footsteps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Naruto smiled. You guys really have amazing timing. Everyone laughed. Then sat beside him. Nobody said anything. Because they understood. This place meant something to Naruto. Naruto smiled softly. You know. Quote. Everyone listened. I used to hate this swing. Everyone froze. Naruto laughed. Every day I'd sit here. And wonder why nobody wanted to be around me. The wind blew gently. Naruto smiled. But now. Quote. He looked toward everyone. I can't even get 5 minutes alone. Everyone burst into laughter. Naruto laughed too. Then he smiled warmly. And honestly, I wouldn't change it. Maximum emotional damage. Again. Naruto continued. Back then, I wanted someone, anyone, to stay. Then he looked toward everyone. And now, I've got all of you. Critical damage. Again. Because Naruto genuinely meant every word. Meanwhile, far away, Gaara smiled. Killer Bee smiled. Darui smiled. The leaders of every village smiled. Because they all understood something. Naruto had become the bridge connecting the entire world. Not because he was powerful. Because he was kind. That afternoon, Naruto trained at Training Ground 7. Everyone arrived. Again, Naruto grinned. Perfect. Then everyone trained together. Hours passed. Then one child ran toward Naruto. Naruto Nisan. Naruto smiled. Yeah. The child looked nervous. What's the secret to being happy? Everyone froze. Naruto blinked. Then he smiled. The wind blew gently. Naruto thought for a moment. Then smiled warmly. Protect people. The child blinked. Naruto laughed. Protect someone. Care about someone. Make memories. Eat good food. Smile a lot. Then he grinned. And don't give up. Maximum emotional damage. Again. The child smiled. Okay. Naruto laughed. Good. Then the child ran away. Nearby, everyone smiled. Because somehow, Naruto always made complicated things simple. That evening, Naruto climbed atop the Hokage monument. Again, his favorite place. The stars illuminated the sky. The entire village glowed below. Then footsteps approached. Again, Naruto smiled. You guys really are my family now, huh? Quote. Everyone froze. Naruto blinked. Then he smiled. That's what this feels like. Critical damage. Again, Naruto continued. I've never had a big family before. Then he laughed. So this is kinda nice. Quote. Nobody answered immediately. Because Naruto didn't realize something. Every single person there considered him family too. Far away, Kakashi smiled proudly. Then whispered. Minato. He won. Not the war. Not the Hokage title. Life itself. Because Naruto Uzumaki was no longer the lonely boy everyone ignored. He had become someone's comfort. Someone's happiness. Someone's inspiration. Someone's home. And without realizing it, he had accidentally created something stronger than any army. A group of people who would do absolutely anything for him. The strongest harem in history. Built entirely on genuine love, trust, and memories. And Naruto still thought everyone was just being friendly. The following month, something happened that nobody expected. Not even Naruto. The entire shinobi world started calling his group something. At first, it was a joke. Then it became a rumor. Then it became a legend. Naruto's unbreakable circle. Because wherever Naruto went, certain people always followed. Not because they had to. Because they wanted to. One morning, Naruto woke up, stretched, yawned, then smiled. Today's gonna be awesome. He walked outside, then froze. There was a basket. Again. Inside. Fresh fruit. Ramen coupons. Letters. And a handmade scarf. Naruto blinked. Quote. Wow. Then smiled. People are really nice lately. Meanwhile, across Konoha, Sakura covered her face. Ino sighed. Hinata turned red. Temari shook her head. Tenten laughed. Because somehow. Naruto remained the densest person alive. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage Tower, Kakashi was drinking coffee. Shikamaru sat nearby. Another report arrived. Title: Most Valuable Person in the Entire Shinobi World. Kakashi smiled. Naruto again. Shikamaru nodded. Naruto again. Kakashi laughed. He wins every category now. Shikamaru smiled. Without trying. Meanwhile, Naruto walked through Konoha. Then he suddenly stopped. He noticed a young genin sitting alone. The boy looked sad. Naruto sat beside him. What's wrong? The boy sighed. I'm not talented. Naruto laughed. Oh. The boy blinked. Oh. Naruto smiled. Then you're just like me. Quote. The boy froze. Naruto laughed. I wasn't talented either. The boy blinked. But you're Naruto. Naruto smiled. Exactly. Then he stood up. So keep trying. One day you'll surprise yourself. Maximum emotional damage. Again. The boy smiled. Okay. Naruto grinned. Good. Then he walked away. Nearby, several people smiled. Because somehow, Naruto could heal people with words. Meanwhile, that afternoon, Naruto received another mission. Deliver peace treaty documents. Easy. Naruto smiled. Let's go. Then immediately froze. Because everyone was there again. Sakura, Hinata, Ino, Temari, Tenten. Naruto blinked. Quote. You guys really love missions. Quote. Everyone laughed. Naruto grinned. Awesome. The journey began. Hours later, they stopped near a lake. The sunset illuminated the water. Beautiful. Naruto sat down, then smiled. This place is amazing. Quote. Everyone sat beside him. Nobody said anything, because moments like these were enough. Then Naruto suddenly spoke. You know. Everyone listened. Naruto scratched his cheek. If I could talk to my younger self. Quote. Everyone froze. Naruto smiled. I'd tell him something. The wind blew gently. Naruto looked toward the lake. Then smiled warmly. I'd tell him to stop being afraid. Silence. Naruto continued. I'd tell him. Quote. You'll find your people. Maximum emotional damage. Again. Naruto continued. You'll laugh. You'll smile. You'll create memories. And one day, you'll never feel lonely again. Critical damage. Again. Nobody answered. Because Naruto unknowingly described exactly what everyone felt. Then Naruto laughed. And honestly, I think he'd cry. Everyone burst into laughter. Naruto laughed too. Then smiled. But that's okay. The stars illuminated the sky. Naruto looked toward everyone. Then smiled warmly. Thank you. Everyone blinked. Naruto pointed toward everyone. For staying. Maximum emotional damage. Again. Naruto continued. I know life changes. I know people get busy. I know things won't always stay the same. Then he smiled. But I hope we stay together. Nobody spoke immediately. Because Naruto genuinely meant it. Far away, Kakashi smiled proudly. Then whispered. Minato. He won. Not through power. Not through fame. Not through fear. Through kindness. Meanwhile, Naruto stood up. Then stretched. I'm hungry. Quote. Everyone burst into laughter. Again. Naruto blinked. What? Temari laughed. Nothing. Naruto scratched his head. You guys are weird. Everyone smiled. Because after all these years, one thing had become undeniable. Naruto Uzumaki hadn't accidentally created the strongest harem in history. He had accidentally created the strongest bonds in history. Bonds stronger than armies. Stronger than politics. Stronger than wars. And because those bonds were built from genuine love and trust, they would never break. The funniest part, Naruto still thought everyone was simply being friendly. Several weeks later, something impossible happened. Naruto accidentally became the most protected person in the entire shinobi world. Not because he ordered anyone. Not because he was Hokage. Not because he was the strongest. But because everyone around him had silently made the same decision. Protect Naruto at all costs. And Naruto had absolutely no idea. One morning, Naruto woke up, stretched, yawned, then smiled. Today's gonna be awesome. He walked outside, then immediately froze. His apartment had changed. The broken flower pot was repaired. The railing was polished. The mailbox was replaced. The front door was fixed. Naruto blinked. Quote. Then smiled. Somebody's really nice. Meanwhile, 30 meters away. Sakura sighed. Ino sighed. Hinata smiled nervously. Temari shook her head. Tenten laughed. Because Naruto remained unbelievably dense. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage tower, Kakashi sighed. Again. Shikamaru sat nearby. Another report arrived. Title: The most influential human in modern shinobi history. Kakashi laughed. No need to read it. Shikamaru smirked. Naruto. Kakashi nodded. Naruto. Again. Meanwhile, Naruto walked through Konoha. Then suddenly, a little boy ran toward him. Naruto Nisan. Naruto smiled. Hey. The child grinned. When I grow up, I wanna protect people like you. Naruto froze. Then smiled warmly. That's amazing. Quote. Then he knelt down. But don't become me. The boy blinked. Naruto smiled. Become a better version. Maximum emotional damage. Again. The child smiled. Okay. Naruto grinned. Deal. Then he walked away. Nearby, several people sighed. Because somehow, every conversation Naruto had became unforgettable. Meanwhile, At Ichiraku, Naruto sat down. Extra large ramen. Ayame smiled. As always. As always. Quote. Then disaster arrived. Again. Sakura sat beside him. Then Hinata. Then Ino. Then Tenten. Then Tamari. Naruto blinked. Quote. Wow. You guys really do love ramen. Ayame burst into laughter. Because Naruto remained hopeless. That afternoon, Naruto received an international invitation. The 5 great nations wanted a peace gathering. Naruto smiled. Awesome. Then he arrived at the gate. And froze. Because everyone volunteered again. Naruto blinked. Quote. You guys don't get tired. Everyone laughed. Naruto grinned. Cool. Hours later, they arrived. Immediately, people gathered. Again. Children ran toward Naruto. Families waved. Shinobi smiled. Naruto blinked. Quote. Again. Then he smiled. Hello everyone. Big mistake. The crowd doubled. Naruto blinked. How does that happen? Nobody answered. Because nobody knew. That evening, everyone sat near a giant lake. The stars illuminated the water. The wind blew gently. Naruto smiled softly. You know. Everyone listened. Naruto scratched his cheek. Sometimes. I wonder if I deserve all this. Everyone froze. Naruto rarely spoke like that. Then he smiled. People trust me. People rely on me. People believe in me. The wind blew gently. Naruto looked toward the stars. It's scary. Nobody interrupted. Naruto continued. Because what if one day I disappoint everyone? Silence filled the air. Then Hinata smiled softly. You won't. Naruto blinked. Huh. Sakura smiled. You've never stopped trying. Ino nodded. You always put others first. Quote. Tenten smiled. You never give up. Tamari smirked. And you're too stubborn to fail. Everyone laughed. Naruto laughed too. Then smiled. Thanks. Then he looked toward the sky. You know. When I was younger. Quote. I used to pray for one person. Everyone became quiet. Naruto smiled. Just one. The wind blew gently. One person who'd stay. Then he looked at everyone. Now. He smiled warmly. I've got way more than one. Quote. Critical damage. Again. Naruto continued. And honestly, I think that's my greatest victory. Everyone froze. Naruto smiled. Not becoming Hokage. Not becoming strong. Not becoming famous. The lights of the villages glowed in the distance. Naruto pointed toward everyone. This. Maximum emotional damage. Again. Naruto smiled. My people. My family. My home. Nobody answered. Because Naruto had unknowingly said something beautiful. Far away. Kakashi smiled proudly. Then whispered. Minato. He did it. Because Naruto wasn't building a harem. He wasn't collecting admirers. He wasn't trying to become special. He was simply being himself. And somehow, that was more powerful than every forbidden jutsu in history. Meanwhile, Naruto stood up. Then stretched. I'm hungry. Everyone burst into laughter. Again. Naruto blinked. What? Tamari laughed. Nothing. Naruto scratched his head. You guys are weird. Everyone smiled. Because after all these years, one thing had become undeniable. Naruto Uzumaki wasn't just a hero anymore. He had become irreplaceable. And the funniest part, Naruto still thought everyone was simply being friendly. Several days later, something changed. For the first time, Naruto accidentally scared the entire shinobi world. Not because he was angry. Not because he was powerful. But because people finally realized something. They couldn't imagine life without Naruto anymore. And that realization terrified everyone. One morning, Naruto woke up, stretched, yawned, then smiled. Today's gonna be awesome. He walked onto his balcony. The village was waking up. Birds flew across the sky. Children were running toward the academy. Everything was peaceful. Naruto smiled. This is perfect. Then he looked at Konoha. Years ago, he used to sit here wondering why nobody wanted him around. Now, he barely had 5 minutes to himself. Naruto laughed. My life is weird. Meanwhile, Across Konoha, people had already started talking about him. At the flower shop, Naruto helped us yesterday. At the market, he carried everything again. At the academy, he trained children after his mission. Quote, at Ichiraku, he thanked everyone before leaving. Everywhere, there were Naruto stories. Meanwhile, Naruto was walking through the village. Then suddenly, he stopped. A child sat under a tree. The boy looked upset. Naruto sat beside him. What's wrong? The boy sighed. I'm scared. Naruto smiled. Of what? The boy looked down. What if I fail? Naruto laughed. Oh. The boy blinked. Oh. Naruto smiled warmly. Then fail. The boy froze. Naruto continued. Then stand up. Then fail again. Then stand up again. The wind blew gently. Naruto smiled. That's life. Maximum emotional damage. Again. The boy slowly smiled. Okay. Naruto grinned. Good. Then he walked away. Nearby, several people smiled. Because somehow, Naruto could heal people with just words. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage tower, Kakashi sighed. Again, Shikamaru sat nearby. Another report arrived. Title: Person people trust more than their own leaders. Kakashi blinked. Quote. Seriously. Shikamaru opened it. Cloud Village. Naruto. Mist Village. Naruto. Sand Village. Naruto. Stone Village. Naruto. Leaf Village. Naruto. Kakashi laughed. This is getting ridiculous. Shikamaru smiled. He's too powerful. Kakashi nodded. Not his strength. His heart. Meanwhile, Naruto entered Ichiraku. Extra large ramen. Ayame smiled. As always. As always. Then disaster arrived. Again. Sakura sat beside him. Hinata sat beside him. Then Ino. Then Tenten. Then Tamari. Naruto blinked. Quote. Wow. You guys really love ramen. Quote. Ayame burst into laughter. Because Naruto remained impossible. That evening, Naruto climbed atop the Hokage monument. Again. His favorite place. The sunset illuminated Konoha. Orange. Beautiful. Peaceful. Then footsteps approached. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Naruto smiled. You guys are really part of my life now. Everyone smiled. Then sat beside him. Naruto looked toward the village. Then smiled softly. You know. Everyone listened. Naruto scratched his cheek. I've been thinking. The wind blew gently. When I was younger, I thought being alone was normal. Everyone froze. Naruto smiled. I got used to it. Quote. Then he laughed. But now, I don't think I could handle it. Critical damage. Again. Naruto continued. I think I'd get lonely. Then he looked at everyone. So don't disappear, okay? Maximum emotional damage. Again. Nobody answered immediately. Because Naruto didn't realize something. Every single person there had already made that decision. They were never leaving. Far away, Kakashi smiled. Then whispered. Minato. He finally has a family. Meanwhile, the stars illuminated the sky. Naruto looked at everyone. Then smiled. You know what's funny? Everyone listened. Naruto laughed. I thought becoming Hokage was the biggest dream ever. Quote. Then he pointed at everyone. But this is better. Everyone froze. Naruto smiled warmly. Way better. The wind blew gently. Then Naruto stood up and stretched. I'm hungry. Everyone burst into laughter. Again. Naruto blinked. What? Tamari laughed. Nothing. Naruto scratched his head. You guys are weird. Everyone smiled. Because after all these years, one thing had become undeniable. Naruto Uzumaki hadn't accidentally created the strongest harem in history. He had accidentally created something far stronger. A group of people who would choose him. Every single day. And Naruto still thought everyone was simply being friendly. The next month, something unexpected happened. For the first time, Naruto became busy. Very busy. Because somehow, without planning it, his schedule was completely full. Morning. Train academy students. Afternoon. Help villagers. Evening. International meetings. Night. Sit with everyone at the Hokage monument. Naruto blinked. Quote. When did my life become this busy? Nobody answered. Because everyone already knew. Naruto Uzumaki had become the center of the shinobi world. One morning, Naruto woke up, stretched, yawned, then smiled. Today's gonna be awesome. Then he opened his apartment door. Thud. Even more letters. Naruto blinked. Quote. Again. One was from the Cloud Village. Please visit us soon. One was from the Mist Village. Everyone misses you. One was from the Sand Village. Gaara requests your presence. Naruto scratched his head. Everybody's really friendly lately. Meanwhile. 30 meters away. Sakura almost fell over. Ino sighed. Hinata smiled nervously. Temari shook her head. Tenten laughed. Because somehow, Naruto remained impossible. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage Tower, Kakashi sighed. Again. Shikamaru sat nearby. Another report arrived. Title: Most Irreplaceable Human in Shinobi History. Kakashi laughed. I already know. Shikamaru smiled. Naruto. Kakashi nodded. Naruto. Quote. Again. Meanwhile, Naruto walked through Konoha. Then he suddenly stopped. There was an old bench. He sat down. Then quietly smiled. Years ago, nobody sat beside him. Now, before 30 seconds passed. Footsteps approached. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Naruto laughed. You guys have amazing timing. Everyone sat beside him. Naruto smiled. You know. Everyone listened. Naruto scratched his cheek. I don't think I've ever said this. The wind blew gently. Naruto smiled warmly. I'm proud. Everyone froze. Naruto continued. I'm proud of all of you. Critical damage. Again. Naruto pointed at everyone. We've all been through a lot. We fought wars. We lost people. We cried. But look at us now. The village glowed beautifully. Naruto smiled. We're still here. Maximum emotional damage. Again. Nobody answered immediately. Because Naruto wasn't trying to be deep. He simply meant it. That afternoon, Naruto trained children again. Then one child asked, Naruto Nisan. Yeah, the child smiled. Who's your favorite person? Naruto blinked. Quote. Huh. Then he laughed. That's impossible. The child blinked. Why? Naruto smiled. Because I have too many important people. Critical damage. Again. Naruto laughed. Everybody matters. Then he smiled warmly. And that's enough for me. Nearby, everyone froze. Because that answer was pure Naruto. He never ranked people. He simply loved everyone equally. That evening, Naruto climbed atop the Hokage monument. Again, the stars illuminated the sky. The village lights glowed below. Then footsteps approached. Again, Naruto smiled. You know. Everyone listened. Naruto scratched his cheek. I've realized something. The wind blew gently. When I was younger, I wanted people to choose me. Everyone froze. Naruto smiled warmly. But now, I don't need to ask anymore. Quote. Silence. Naruto pointed toward everyone. Because you guys already do. Maximum emotional damage. Again, Naruto continued. And honestly, that's the greatest feeling in the world. Nobody answered. Because Naruto had unknowingly said something beautiful. Years ago, he was the lonely boy nobody noticed. Now, he was the person nobody wanted to lose. Far away, Kakashi smiled proudly. Then whispered, Minato. He did it. Because Naruto had accidentally built something stronger than any army. Stronger than any alliance. Stronger than any cage. Trust, love, memories. And because those things were genuine. They would last forever. Meanwhile, Naruto stood up. Then stretched. I'm hungry. Everyone burst into laughter. Again, Naruto blinked. What? Temari laughed. Nothing. Naruto scratched his head. You guys are weird. Everyone smiled. Because after all these years, one thing had become undeniable. Naruto Uzumaki didn't accidentally create the strongest harem in history. He accidentally became the heart of the entire shinobi world. And the funniest part, Naruto still thought Everyone was simply being friendly. The next few weeks became legendary. Not because of a war. Not because of a new enemy. But because Naruto accidentally became the most important person in everyone's life. And he still didn't know. One morning, Naruto woke up, stretched, yawned, then smiled. Today's gonna be awesome. Then he opened his apartment door. Thud. More gifts. Naruto blinked. Quote. Again. There was fresh ramen. A scarf. Letters. Homemade snacks. Naruto smiled. Konoha people are seriously too nice. Meanwhile, across the village, Sakura sighed, Ino sighed, Tamari sighed, Hinata smiled nervously. Tenten laughed. Because somehow, after all these years, Naruto remained absolutely impossible. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage Tower, Kakashi sighed. Again, Shikamaru sat nearby. Another report arrived. Title: The person the shinobi world cannot afford to lose. Kakashi froze. Then smiled. Naruto. Shikamaru nodded. Naruto. Again. Meanwhile, Naruto walked through Konoha. Then suddenly stopped. A young shinobi was practicing Rasengan. Boom. It exploded. The boy fell down. Naruto immediately ran over. You okay? The boy nodded. I'm sorry. Naruto blinked. Why are you apologizing? The boy froze. Naruto smiled. Mistakes happen. Then he sat beside him. You know how many times I failed? Quote. The boy blinked. How many? Naruto laughed. Too many to count. Everyone laughed. Then Naruto smiled warmly. But I never stopped. Maximum emotional damage. Again. Naruto continued. You don't have to be perfect. Quote. You just have to keep moving. The boy slowly smiled. Okay. Naruto grinned. Good. Meanwhile, far away, the Sand Village, the Mist Village, the Cloud Village, the Stone Village, everyone was talking about him. Not because he was powerful. Because he was Naruto. That evening, Naruto climbed atop the Hokage monument. Again, the stars illuminated the sky. The entire village glowed beautifully below. Then footsteps approached. Again, Naruto smiled. You guys are never gonna stop coming here, huh? Everyone laughed. Then sat beside him. Naruto looked toward the stars. Then smiled softly. You know. Everyone listened. Naruto scratched his cheek. I've realized something lately. The wind blew gently. Naruto smiled. I don't really care about being the strongest anymore. Everyone froze. Naruto continued. I don't care about fame. I don't care about titles. Quote. I don't care about being special. Then he looked toward everyone. I just want this. Maximum emotional damage. Again. Naruto pointed at everyone. Moments like these. The lights of Konoha glowed below. Naruto smiled warmly. Because this is happiness. Nobody answered. Because Naruto unknowingly said something beautiful. Then Naruto laughed. You know what's funny? Everyone listened. Naruto scratched his head. I spent my entire childhood chasing happiness. Then he smiled. And one day, it just showed up. Critical damage. Again. Naruto continued. Without me realizing it, the wind blew softly. Then he looked at everyone. And honestly, I'm scared. Everyone froze. Naruto rarely admitted fear. Then he smiled. I'm scared of losing all this. Silence filled the air. Then Hinata softly smiled. You won't. Sakura nodded. Never. Ino smiled. We're not going anywhere. Tenten laughed. You're stuck with us. Tamari smirked. For life. Naruto froze. Then laughed. Good. Maximum emotional damage. Again. Far away. Kakashi smiled proudly. Then whispered. Minato. He really found his place. Because Naruto Uzumaki wasn't creating a harem anymore. He had accidentally created something far greater. A family chosen by the heart. A bond stronger than blood. And perhaps, that was the strongest thing in the entire shinobi world. Meanwhile, Naruto stood up. Then stretched. I'm hungry. Everyone burst into laughter. Again. Naruto blinked. What? Tamari laughed. Nothing. Naruto scratched his head. You guys are weird. Everyone smiled. Because after all these years, One thing had become undeniable. Naruto Uzumaki wasn't just the hero of the shinobi world anymore. He had become its heart. And the funniest part, Naruto still thought everyone was simply being friendly.